Well, to start off, my name is Sarah Starlos. I'm a Public Information Officer for the Pacific Northwest Team 2. I didn't really go into too much of an example of what that means. So Pacific Northwest, a lot of us are either from Washington, Oregon, a smattering of Alaskans, but we've been here for, I think we're on our sixth or seventh day, and it's been such a great opportunity under these sort of situations, but this kind of situation, to be here and get to know your community, and to have these meetings to be able to brief you on the current fire situation. So I'm just going to go over this agenda real quick. So our incident commanders, Chris Schulte from PW2 and Ian Yocum from the Oregon State Fire Marshal will speak, and then we're going to do an overview of the Taylor Creek Fire, and then we have folks from the Klondike Fire to give a quick overview, and then that's kind of like part one of the meeting, and then part two is going to be Commissioner Morgan's going to come up and let us know who the speakers are that are going to brief us from everything from how the evacuation process happens and the resources that have been here in the county to be able to serve you, one for this incident and then just for future education. And then at the end of it, we will take questions and do a wrap up. Okay? So to start us off, Chris Schulte from PW2.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I was here at the last community meeting also, and a few less chairs in the house tonight, Phil, but that's fine. We're here to help you get some information. The Taylor Fire is still rated #1 in the Oregon and Washington area, or the geographic area, and we're still getting what support is possible as far as resources are concerned. There's a little over 1,200 firefighters engaged on the Taylor Creek Fire, and they have made some pretty good progress in some areas of interest, and I'm going to not get into the details now, but I am going to, I know Barry's going to be talking with you about those areas. So just let you know that in those 1,200 firefighters, a good portion of the energy goes into preparing for these kind of events, so we can help get you some information. We looked real hard at the format we used last time, and we've made a few improvements with intent to get you better information and get it to you so that it's more useful for you. So we're hoping we can get closer to that goal. And with that in mind, I will hand the microphone over to my partner, Ian Yocum, and he can talk to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Ian Yocum. I have the privilege and honor of representing the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, and those are the structural task forces and fire departments from all over the counties of the state of Oregon, of the great state of Oregon. So it truly is Oregonians helping Oregonians in the time of need. Just real quick, I think the most important thing that people want to know is when can they come back to their homes? And on the Taylor Fire, we've had over 1,000 level 3 evacuations, and that's at level 3, which means go. And today, all of those homes are in a level 1. That means everybody can go home, and that's pretty awesome. It takes a coordinated effort between the wildland firefighters and the structural firefighters to protect those homes, in and around those homes. We are still here because we want to make sure that the threat and the community threat, that you feel safe, that you understand that we are still here. We are working to make sure that we don't lose any homes. And to this date, on this large of a fire, when you're talking about this many homes, we have not lost one home on this fire. So tonight you're going to hear a lot from your county, from the sheriff's office, from your emergency manager, about just what's next, what happens as we turn it back to the locals, as we turn it back to the community. And I'm proud to be an Oregonian. I'm proud to come down and represent the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office and these firefighters, because because they have worked extremely hard for this community. Thank you very much.
Good evening, folks. Barry Shullanberger with Pacific Northwest Team 2. One of the operations chiefs working the fire for Taylor Creek Fire. 3 points that I really want to get across here quickly to you tonight. First, I want to talk about the east side of the fire. If you look down at the bottom, down by Limpy Creek, all the way up to Hog Creek up there at the top, things are looking really good. As you guys have viewed it and looked at it from your residence, you see that we obviously have a lot less smoke. We continue to work those smokes, especially near the perimeter. Starting tomorrow, we're going to add even more crews in there. We're going to get the National Guard tomorrow, and so we're going to add 6 hand crews in there of 20 people apiece, and we're going to continue to eliminate those smokes that are close to the line. So good work's going on. We're mopping up and keeping those fires really quiet there on the edge, and we're just going to be continue to work hard and make that a really solid black on that side. The second piece, tonight you can see the smoke that's coming up from the fire. There's currently a burnout operation going on the top of the fire, just west of the Indian Mary Campground. You can see there, and just south of Galise. So we have a couple hotshot crews who are backing that fire down the hill, going really slow and easy, making sure that we do the right thing there, and we're going to lock that loop in up there on the top just south of Galise, right in here, right in this area here. Okay. So far operations are going great. They got the wind in their back. We've got very favorable conditions, and we're feeling pretty confident about that operation. As you have noticed, this fire perimeter has had some funny lines in it and whatnot. That is due to us putting fire out in front of the main fire to help reduce its heat. What we're doing is we're getting fire initiated on those ridge tops out in front of it and letting it back down into the main fire. And that really does help. And we're going to slowly back it down, and we're going to use the Bear Camp Road as our holding line to the north there. And we're working really hard to clear that of vegetation and get it to where it'll hold. As you all know, it is not easy to hold in a river bottom. It's better to hold a fire on a ridge top. So we got our challenges there on Bear Camp Road. As you all know, that is down in a deep canyon, and it's very steep on both sides. If that fire happens to cross to the north, we'll do everything we can to direct attack that fire and keep it as small as possible right where it's at. If it does happen to move to the north, then we're going to use the Peavine Road, which is just a little bit further to the north. So we've been prepping that road as well, and that is our alternate holding line this time. As we work over here to the northwest corner, firefighters have been adding fire to this, what's called for a lot of locals as Chrome Ridge. It's also Forest Road 2402. And anyway, this road was used, and Ridgetop was used to hold the Biscuit Fire to keep it from further spread to the east. We're continuing to add fire as we need to. As you can see, the fire is working its way. They're bringing fire down, bringing fire up, slowly filling in the corners there. Feel, again, very good about that operation. Things are going really well. As you work around the bottom of the fire, we'll add just enough fire to stay out in front of it here to the south. Okay? And this piece right in here really hasn't moved as much lately, but it is still active and very inaccessible. Thanks.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Randy Johnson, Operations Section Chief with PNW 3, the other Northwest team that's here working with you. So we're coming up. I'll give you a quick run around the Klondike Fire. We've been assigned with our team to manage the Klondike Fire and the Natchez Fire. We'll speak specifically about the Klondike Fire this evening. So start here on the southwest corner. Most of that is up in the wilderness. All of that, for the most part, is in the wilderness and is bumped into the old Chetco burn scar from last year, and that's holding fire progression pretty well, not allowing anything to advance to the west at this point. As we come around the top, we had fire come across the Illinois River a few days back, as it tends to do in this country, and we've looked for some options up here along the top on the north side of this fire to try and check the spread of that. That is some pretty remote, rugged terrain. Not a lot of good options there. We're looking for anything we can find to slow the spread of that as it continues north. That fire hasn't moved a lot to the north in the last couple of days. It's in some pretty sparse fuels. Not a lot of alignment just yet, but we're keeping a close eye on that, and as we can, using aviation to check that spread. One of the things that we continue to work, that we have working against us, is the amount of smoke that I know you all are dealing with as well, but it affects our ability to use aviation, to use helicopters and airplanes. We have to be able to see to use that stuff. So that's something that when sky's clear and we can get in, we're taking advantage of that, but it has been a challenge with that valley getting smoked in pretty regularly. As we come across the top of the fire again, working in close coordination all the way around this northeast corner of our fire with PNW 2 and what their plans are, as Barry was just outlining, coming across Bear Camp Road. We have been putting, as you can see, this line of fire down the east side. Our focus has been on checking the spread of the Klondike Fire to the east, where we start getting into the private and more of the homes, wanting to make sure that with the resources we have available, that we can get that line in and secured, make sure that we have that side of the fire locked off so that we can remove as much as possible the threat coming back down into the 199 corridor, back into the private land, things like that. Again, coming around the south end of the fire, up the Illinois River Valley, up towards Oak Flat. We've had structure protection in place in and around Oak Flat. We had fire in there a few nights back. We're successful in defending all the structures that were in there, and now have black line around most of those structures where it's down in the river bottom. So again, focusing our efforts with the Klondike Fire and taking this side of the fire out of play. A lot of close coordination with Oregon Department of Forestry. For the private lands, there are some sections of private land in there, private timber in holdings, doing what we can to use fire. Again, as Barry was alluding to, using fire to our advantage and doing low intensity burns with timing and using the conditions that present themselves so that we can backfire through that country with as low intensity as possible, but take the fuels out of play so that we don't have fire running hard at our line. So again, you continue to work this, get some depth on this side of the fire, lock this side off so that we are taking the stuff to the south out of play. That's pretty much where we're at on the Klondike Fire for now. Thank you.